Welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, and capital raisers in the world to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. If what you're after is having it all, if what you desire is becoming the best version you can be across all areas, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, sentimentally, and financially, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best of the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, knowledge, experience, and skills so that you can go out and crush it financially and across all areas of your life. Grab pencil and paper, sit back, enjoy, and you are welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. Hello, Modern Kings and Queens. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview real estate investors from all walks of life and different points of their journey to give you and provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets for you to conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can achieve financial freedom and have a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. I'm super excited to get to talk to Trevor today. Trevor is based from Austin, Texas. He's a limited partner on 20 syndications. So he's a product of a product, right? He not only is a real estate investor, but he's a passive investor in some of these deals. And he's a general partner on 4 syndications. And he spent 45 years working as a vice president, opening and operating attraction type businesses. And for the last 20 years, he worked in the iFly indoor skydiving, right? Yep. So he has a pretty interesting background, pretty different, right? And over the past few years, he became passionate about learning about real estate investing. And his goal right now is to help 1,000 people reach financial independence through real estate investing. So excited to talk about that today, Trevor. Thank you very much for being here. And I'm excited.
Pleasure.
Thank you. So Trevor, the first thing that I do with my guests is I ask them to walk us through their real estate investing journey in 75 seconds or less.
Okay. Yeah, so I always knew I was interested in investing in real estate, but I was afraid. I was afraid of toilets, tenants, and trash, and so I didn't do anything. Then all of a sudden I stumbled across real estate syndication, and my mind was blown. Oh, I give my money to an experienced operator, they buy an asset, they make the business better, and I receive returns. And as soon as I kind of understood that model, it unlocked it for me.
Hello, Modern Kings and Queens. At my company, Millionaire Network Automation, we believe in the power of networking. We believe that in real estate, your net worth is your network. This is why we help real estate investors raise capital by connecting them with their ideal investors and helping them build a massive network of their ideal investors in less than 30 days and with only 4 hours of work per week. If you're interested in this, click the link below in the description of this podcast to learn how you can propel your growth with a reliable system that will consistently help you connect with your ideal investors, build trust, add value, get your investors to promote you and put you in front of more of their investor friends, and raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way so that you can achieve your financial freedom and still have the time and the energy to pour into every single other area of your life. So go watch the training, and you're going to have the opportunity to book a call to talk about how you can get this 100% done for you system implemented in the next 5 days. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later, and enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye. Cool. So, like, it's great, right? Like, how would you not take advantage of that opportunity, right? Like, with syndication, you give your money to someone who is an expert in real estate investing, who has done it for years, who is investing in like 100-unit apartment buildings and is promising a return on your money. Instead of having it in the bank, you give it to them. They take care of all of the tenants, toilets, and everything that they have to take care of, and then you make money on that. Yeah. That's incredible. So before investing, you educated yourself, right? So how did that journey of becoming a limited partner on some of these syndications look like for you?
Yeah, so I was always interested in real estate, and I spent some time trying to learn about it. Like a lot of people, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it's quite a bit of different look at how people should arrange their lives financially, you know, the difference between what's an asset and what's a liability, and then the power and leverage of debt. But I'm going to be honest, I was still kind of intimidated by it all. And, and it was very somewhat, I'm going to call it scary. So even though I knew it, I continued doing what the whole world kind of tells us what to do, which is to trade time for money, right? Work
Mm-hmm.
hard at your job, and then you're going to do well doing it that way. And then I started to realize that that wasn't going to get me where I wanted to go. And people like Warren Buffett say, until you can make money in your sleep, you're going to work until you die.
Mm-hmm.
And, it finally just kind of all snowballed. And then I did have a financial event where one of our companies I worked for got bought. So I got a financial payday. And then I basically, so afraid of toilets, tents, and trash, no time, no money. The no money excuse was gone. And I thought, okay, now I need to get serious about educating myself about the power of it. So then I just kept spending so much time learning about it. And I made a commitment, before the end of the year, I'm going to make my first real estate investment. And actually, I joined a mentoring group in October. And by the end of the year, I had invested in 2 syndication groups.
Nice. So that's awesome. So you actually gave yourself, that's how you make a goal, by the way, right? Like what
Yeah.
does SMART goal stand for? Like what is it? Like SMART stands, the S stands for, I don't remember, right? But you set a date, you made it clear,
Yeah,
and
I got to
right,
do it. Yeah, because
and you set a
otherwise I
plan.
won't.
Exactly. So that's interesting. You joined a mentorship program for passive investors, or how did that
So
work?
it was a mentorship program that was basically for active commercial real estate investors. But my
Okay.
goal wasn't necessarily to be active. My goal was to get educated and connect with people who were active. So I actually paid to join a group. And my concept was, okay, if I get to know these people, if I go through their education program, then I can invest with people that I know, like, and trust, because I'm going to meetings with them, I'm seeing them. I was all in Texas where I live. They were always investing in Texas. They always refer to themselves as Texans investing in Texas. So I could go see the assets, look at them, and it gave me a next level of comfort. It wasn't, like when you buy an Apple stock, you meet anybody at Apple ever? You never meet anybody. You don't know. And so this concept of investing in a real asset with people that I met, actually shook their hands, had a cup of coffee with them, and it added a little bit, made it a little easier to make that step.
Yeah, that is a an interesting story because one of my guests previously also did that, right? Like he also went into a real estate investing mastermind, right? And he was around people who were already
Yeah,
living it and doing it, and he got to see it, and then he got to, before actually becoming an active investor, he got to become a passive investor in one of his in one of like like another student's deal, right? So he became a passive investor, and then like that's how you become a product of the product, because all of a sudden, right, he invested into a deal as a limited partner, and then a couple of months in, he started receiving checks, right, and now he's like, oh, cool, like this is life changing, right? So that,
yeah,
and then so now you like you started believing into in what you're going to be doing. So like I used to sell insurance, and one thing that they used to say was that you got to be a product of the product, so you got to buy an insurance for
yeah,
yourself and for your family, right? Because like if you don't believe in the product, if you don't have one for yourself, then how do you expect anyone to buy from you, or
yeah,
or in this case, to invest in your deals? So I think it is a very important um, thing to be a limited investor
yeah,
in some other real estate investor syndication, just so that you could feel how it feels like to be on the other side,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
Um, yeah. So, and I know that you are big on like educating passive investors on how to become passive investors. So, um, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the most important thing in anything, first of all, you need to get some basic education, right? So there's lots of books, like I mentioned, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's lots of books. There's a book by James Kamasami called Passive Investing. There's several books that you can read. There's lots of things that you can look at and do. And then what you need to do is you need to find people, and they refer to it as like, and trust them. So you need to make relationships with people that are raising funds to do deals. and you need to get comfortable with them. You need to understand what about them makes them special, what about their deals make them special, and you need to start checking off all of the boxes, because at the end of the day, the person that is sponsoring the deal is the most important. So I refer to that's the jockey. The jockey is the most important in the race. The second is the horse, which is the asset class. And then the track is the location where the asset is. So it can be in any city, any country, any area, any suburb within a city. But you need to kind of understand those parameters first so that you feel comfortable giving somebody your money.
So with sponsor, what do you mean with sponsor?
Yeah, so the sponsor is the person that's syndicating the deal. They're the person
operator
that's arranging the deal. So a sponsor is responsible to find a deal, to secure the purchase price of a deal, to get the debt and sign up on the debt for the deal and guarantee the debt from the deal. Then they raise investors to get money. So the combination of investor money and bank money, you go buy an asset. And then they split the profits. So normally a split is a 70-30. So 70% of the profits goes to the passive investors, 30% goes to the active sponsors to pay them back for the work that they're doing. And so that's very important. And another very important question to ask is, are they investing in their own deal? You want them to have skin in the game along with you. So those are very important things for you to understand. And then somehow how the payments are made. So for example, many of the deals I've invested, they have what's called a preferred payment. And the preferred payment means that the passive investors get paid first. And I like those, right? So they do all the work, they arrange it. I get paid first, then we share the profits, and then we split up all the profits. And even some deals, the profit split gets better for the sponsor if I do better. I call that the win-win trifecta, but I don't want to make it too complicated. The most important thing is to find somebody that you know, like, and trust, and then you invest in the person first, the asset second, and the location third.
Nice. Okay. So let's see. I forgot what I was gonna say, but I remember now. So people who tune into this podcast are people who have chosen the vehicle of real estate as their wealth creation vehicle to achieve financial freedom, just like you did, right? Years before you actually went into it and started educating yourself and actually started investing, and then becoming an active investor. So these are the types of people that that listen to this podcast. And so these people may be active real estate investors, so the people who listen to this podcast, but there may also be a lot of real estate investing, aspiring real estate investors who are not yet active, and the road for them to become an active real estate investor might be feeling how it feels like to become a passive investor, right? So what do you tell any of those people like that who may be watching?
So you don't have to quit your job to be a real estate investor, especially if you're in a passive investor. And what I like to talk about is the most important thing for real estate is you buy real estate and wait. You don't wait to buy real estate. So a lot of people think, oh, real estate's a get rich quick scheme. It is not. It is time use of money. So let me give you an example. A young man like yourself, if you invested $100,000 in a deal, and in 5 years you doubled your money, and you invested $200,000 in a deal, 5 years you doubled your money, it's $800,000, or $400,000, pardon me. 5 years you double your money, it's $800,000. 5 years you double your money, it's $1.6 million. 5 years you double your money, it's $3.2 million. So think about that. Your original $100,000 investment in 30 years is worth $3.2 million, assuming you double your money every 5 years, and you can earn it all tax-free somehow, because again, I haven't put tax into this into that equation.
For sure.
So buying real estate is a time game, right? And you're using bank leverage. Real estate is also one of the most favored tax classes in anything. So it's the one that has the most advantages, the most things. So at the lowest tax rate, there's all kinds of incentives. So the combination of using debt to leverage to buy a property, and then tax-free advantages or tax advantages, you can grow your wealth really quickly.
Yeah.
And so again, that's why I said don't wait to buy real estate, right? I didn't start till my 50s. I wish I had started in my 20s. I know better now, and so that's what I keep talking to people. Don't wait to start. Even if you don't have $100,000, even if you have $10,000, find a way to make it work. I tell a lot of young people starting out, Bigger Pockets is a great organization, and they talk about house hacking. Like, go buy one half of a duplex and rent the bedrooms out, but don't live off what your tenants pay you. Save that money and buy the duplex next door. Then
Yeah.
sell that duplex and buy a fourplex. Then sell that fourplex and buy an eightplex, and keep compounding your wealth. And that's the way that you're going to be financially free.
Awesome. That's great advice. And then another thing is that not only, well, yeah, right. Don't wait to buy real estate, right? Buy real estate and wait. But the other thing is that educating yourself on not only being a passive investor, right? So like that's clear, invest and wait, but also like educating yourself to become an active investor, if that is, what you're looking for, is almost free, right? Like you can listen to podcasts like this, you can start networking with people, on social media, you could read books and stuff. And then when you feel, and then you could do that without quitting your job, right? So
Yeah.
that when a couple of years may pass when you actually feel competent to actually pull the trigger on something, and by that time you may have some capital that you could use
Yeah.
from your own to get started. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and the power of it is reinvesting what you earn, right? This compound effect. And if you leave your job and you have to live off of it, you no longer can compound it, right? So I
yeah,
always really like to stress that, because that's a powerful thing that a lot of people miss. You don't you don't want to turn active real estate into another time for money job, right? You want this thing to be self-propelling, because it's the compound effect that builds your wealth so much quicker, and it's all accelerated by real estate goes up in value. The combination of bank debt, which is good debt, right? They talk about good debt and bad debt. In theory, your house is bad debt, and your
hmm
real estate investment debt is good debt. Rich Dad Poor Dad, revolutionized that idea, 30, 40 years ago, whenever he wrote his book. So I always really want to make sure that I encourage people that they really use this concept of compounding, and that's how you get wealthy, right? You look at somebody like Warren Buffett. Is he flying around in jets and living a big life? No, he is reinvesting his money his whole life, and that's what makes people wealthy. And also,
okay,
one other point: 90% of all millionaires became so through real estate. Think about that, 90%.
yeah, that's the majority of them, right?
Yeah.
um so Trevor, right now we were talking about like one of the most important things that you can do if you are looking to become a passive investor in real estate is looking for someone who is, looking to raise capital to invest in a deal, and getting to know them, like them, and trust them. So relationships, right? Like building
Yeah.
meaningful relationships. And I know that your superpower is networking, right? So how do you like how are you able to network effectively and get people to feel like they know you, like you, and trust you, so that you can possibly raise capital, right?
Yeah.
And from them.
So for me, obviously doing these podcasts, that helps, people see me, connect with me, get to know me. I produce a lot of material and put it on my YouTube channel where I try to educate people. I attend my own I run a meetup here in Austin where I live. I go to other meetups in Austin where I live. I mean, I drove to Dallas yesterday to go to a meetup. It's a 3-hour drive. People think you're crazy. 3-hour drive to go to a meetup, and I actually looked at a property on the way up. And then, I drove halfway home, and I got home this morning, and there was 110 people at that meetup, all interested in real estate. And there was everything from the guy who came with me, still has not done his first real estate deal. And one of my friends is there, and he owns $2.8 billion in real estate,
Yeah.
and where could you go and have me introduce somebody who's never even done their first real estate transaction to a guy who's super friendly and super helpful that owns $2.8 billion worth of commercial real estate?
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And he's at the meetup because he also raises money and does deals, and he likes to be approachable. And they also have education, and so going to places where they are, right? And then there's lots of online events as well, so you can find them on LinkedIn and Facebook. If anyone follows me, I speak at a lot of them, and those are where you're going to meet people. Then you set up a one-on-one Zoom call if you're not local, or you go have lunch or coffee, or if you are local, and you just start networking. And you'll be shocked how people will introduce you to other people, right? So I
Yeah.
knew I was going to Dallas. I knew this guy was interested in real estate investing. I sent him a note saying, and he actually came and looked at my property with me too. Hey, I'm looking at a property. I'm meeting a young lady who actually was her first ever passive investment in real estate. She'd already agreed to invest it. And, and so just creating, and it turns out they knew each other, and he actually told her about me because we've
Yeah.
been talking before. And even, so that's how that whole circle works, right? You have to put yourself out there and be approachable. You have to be a helper connector yourself, and then people will help and connect you as well.
Nice. Awesome. So is that how you bring people? Is that how you bring value to people that you meet, or is there other ways as well?
No, I mean, it's educating them. It's, I mean, I like, there's a great book, and everybody should read it, called The Go-Giver. It's an
Okay.
awesome, awesome book. If you haven't read it, you need to read it. And it all talks about reciprocity, like giving things, giving people, Jim Rohn said, if you give everybody what they want, you will get what you need.
Yeah.
And the very powerful, right? He was very powerful, mentor and connector, and those things are so true. And that's how you're going to find these people, right? Don't don't look for them on the internet or whatever. Look for real people that you can connect with. And then you're giving that money, and you want to be able to talk to that person and learn, how's the deal going? What's happening? When my investors invest with me, I send them updates all the time and offer to take them to the property to look and learn. You want to look for people like that to give you your money.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So, Trevor, your meetup, right? Where is it?
It's in Austin.
Austin, Texas. Okay. So anyone who's in any of you Modern Kings and Queens who are
Yeah.
in Austin,
And then
Texas,
if
right?
you're
And
not in Austin, go to meetup.com and punch in real estate. Go to, Eventbrite, punch in real estate, find one in your market, mostly commercial real estate. There, again, I've never been in the single family space. It's still real estate. It's still very good. I've always been in the commercial or multifamily real estate space. But wherever space you find that you fit in and go, you go to those meetups and you'll meet people.
okay, cool. So yours is in Austin, Texas. And who is that for? Like who are the types of people that normally
It's
attend?
everybody. It's somebody who went on Meetup and said, "Oh, I want to learn about real estate." I mean, we have everything from I want to do it. We don't have any $2.8 billion guys at our real estate Meetup, but I mean, my co-host, he's got 60 passive investments and about 12
Nice.
active investments. So everybody's there, right? Everything from I don't even really know what real estate is or how to get started to people that are involved in the space at all levels. We get about 50 people at ours. Last night there was like 112, and again it was just a mixture of people.
Nice. So if anyone is interested in going to your meetup in Austin, Texas, how often do you host
We
that?
do ours once a month,
Once a
and
month.
there's
Okay.
another real estate meetup that is ours is multifamily focused. There's another one that's just commercial real estate focused that meets every Tuesday. I probably get to 2/3 of those lunches and connect with people.
Okay. And if is there any way to like sign up for this, or how does that work?
Yeah, so go to meetup.com and look for real estate meetups or Eventbrite. Those are two spaces where you'll find meetups in your area.
And but to like go to yours specifically?
Yeah, meetup.com. Yeah. Do it
Okay.
in, yeah.
Got it. Alrighty. And then so Trevor, what deals are you actively working on right now?
Yeah, so right now, we just closed on a land acquisition deal here near Austin. And we have a multifamily deal in Fort Worth and another one in Warner Robins, Georgia, which is just south of Macon, Georgia.
Okay. And are you currently raising capital for those deals?
I am, but I can't specifically talk about them because they're 506B deals, which
Got
means I
it.
can't specifically solicit for a deal. I just, and answer, but so I cannot. And if I just met you at this podcast, you can invest in those particular deals.
Nice. All right. So right, to educate both like passive investors and people who are aspiring to become active investors, what does that mean? Like what you just said, that you
Yeah, yeah.
cannot speak.
So
Why?
an
Yeah.
investment is either a 506B. A 506B investment means that you have to have a pre-existing relationship with the sponsor or investor. So if this was the first time you and I met, you could not invest in my deal because I can't solicit a 506B deal. That's a government rule. I can't ask people that I don't know to invest. So they call it friends and family, whatever you want to call it. And that's why a lot of us guys, meet people, connect with people, network with people. So I know you and I say, hey, I have a deal. Are you interested in investing in it? Then there's
Mm-hmm.
another offering called a 506C. And a 506C is for accredited investors only, which means you have a net worth of more than $1 million, not including your home. You make more than $200,000 as a single or $300,000 as with a spouse. Then you're considered an accredited investor. I can ask anybody. I can put it on my Facebook page. I can talk about my deal on this podcast, but you have to be accredited to invest. So the government thinks if you're rich or you make a lot of money, you're smart enough to understand the risks. That's really why the rule is. I call it the protect grandma rule. And what it is you
Yeah.
don't want some guy doesn't know grandma, convinces her real estate deal's good. You have to have this relationship.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the 506B is just for like quote unquote friends and family then.
That's correct, yeah. Or existing, they call it subsidence relationship, which means we've had a couple of phone calls. I have a little
Okay.
bit of idea about your net worth, your real estate investing, your financial savvy. How much money do you have? Because the last thing that they want you to do is put your last few dollars into one deal, right? So it's kind of just a protection thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I
Okay.
had someone who was their first investment, but they were fairly well off. And they said, I have $100,000 and most deals are 50 minimum. Would you put all 100 in one deal? And I said, no, to be honest, trying to help you, I would put 50 in one and 50 in another, kind of spread your odds.
Nice. Yeah. So Trevor, so for example, for the 506B, right, which is just for like friends and family and people who you've had a previous relationship with, um how, like, because it's
And this is
it
for
could be a little,
syndicating deals, right? So
yeah,
this
yeah.
is syndicated. Yeah.
It could be a little bit hard to like um determine whether or not someone is your friend, right? So for
You
example,
have to have documented proof. So we have to documented proof that we've had conversations. So, I set up a Zoom call. There's a
okay,
register of the Zoom call. I make notes in a CRM, customer relationship management, saying, okay, we met, we talked, we know
nice.
each other. I can document it. Um,
Okay. So then let's say that someone who listens to this podcast, reaches out to you and then you meet, right? You have a phone call, you meet, you end up feeling like, oh, this is a nice guy, or like I like him. Then you get another call. You tell him a little bit more about the deal. Would that count?
So only a deal in the future. So my existing deals, I could not. So
Okay.
it has to be a future deal, a new deal. So just to give you an idea, at my meetup, I met people that had never done any real estate investing, and 3 people from my meetup have invested in 2 of my deals. They'd never been involved. They knew they had they were fairly well off paid jobs. They had done some stock market investing and some other investing. One of them owned a couple single family rental homes, but they wanted to get into passive investing. And I met them at my meetup. I kept spending time with them and educating them. And then I had a deal and I presented it to them, and they've invested in my deal. And we've actually
Nice.
taken trips and gone and looked at the property. And every time I do something
Together.
new, I send them pictures. And so that's how I met those people. We had a few phone calls. They kept coming to my meetup. And then when I had a deal, I offered it to them.
That's great. And then one more question, right? Because I think it's been really educational for these types of deals, right? The 506B. You cannot solicit, like investors to like come and invest on your deals, but could you talk about your deal in like detail?
No, not in any public forum.
There you go. Okay, awesome. All right, so you have those two
You can't
deals.
even, you can't even say, I have a deal, and if I know you, come and see me. In theory, that's against the rules, right? In a public setting.
Yeah.
If I was sitting at a dinner table and these were all people I was at work with every day, I could say something.
You could.
Like, we have a
Yeah.
relationship. We have lunch and coffee and work together. But if I went to just some meetup, or I went to some event, I went to your house and I didn't know your uncle, I couldn't tell him about my deal.
All right. And why pick a 506B, right? And not go for, a 506C in which you have a little bit more liberty and you could raise money from people who are, wealthy, quote unquote, accredited investors.
So most of the time it's I call it the starter kit. When you're starting in real estate, most of your deals are smaller and most of your investors are going to be people that know, like, and trust you. So they're not going to be the masses, right? I put an ad on Facebook and some guy in Boston that I've never met is not going to send me money. He's not. He doesn't know who I am from anybody. He's only going to send me money if we have a relationship. Now, once I get some size and I'm doing lots of deals and people notice, and I can say, hey, I'm involved in hundreds of millions of dollars. Like my friend with $2.8 billion, all his deals are 506C. He's got a massive, extensive network. And, and he does very large deals. Our deals are much smaller. I know $5-6 million doesn't sound like small, but in real estate it's small. For buying multifamily commercial properties.
So when you have a network of, quote unquote friends and family, those are the ones that with a 506B, those are the ones that you can actually, ask, right, if they want to learn more. Okay, cool. And that
so
is what
how
you're
we
doing
do
right
it, for example, we have a place where you can go register. So you have to get on there and you have to say, hi, this is all of my information. You have to fill out a questionnaire, and then you have to say, who do you know? And there's a drop down list of people, or you can put my name in. And
there's
then
partners
years
in the
you
deal.
know person. So we have this qualifying questionnaire on all of our 506B deals that we save as well on our paperwork, and we have all these government, because it's a security, right? We're selling securities.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
have to make filings. So all of these surveys and everything go they're called blue sky filings. And we have to file in every state that every investor's in. It's kind of complicated, like syndicating a deal. It's like a $30,000 legal bill, right? It's not simple, and so there's a lot of rules and regulations, and as there should be, because you're trying to protect people's money, right? Doesn't still mean that every deal works out. So I want to be sure I'm clear. Real estate is a really good, safe place, but there is risk.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So is there anywhere else where you want to take us before I remember my next question?
Yeah, no, I think I've got everything out that I wanted to get on that topic.
All righty. Well, let's see. I think so. Tell me a little bit about Massive Capital.
Yeah, so Massive Capital. So I've known the people that are running Massive Capital for about 5 years. In fact, my very first passive investment through the real estate group is with one of the partners. And so Massive Capital is a group of guys that have got together. Last year, they did about $100 million worth of real estate acquisitions. This year, their goal is to do 500 million. They're very aggressive, and buy deals. And they're assembled a team. And I joined the team as vice president investor engagement. So most of my job is finding people, finding investors. So we do weekly webinars and we do things. And if you're new to the webinar, I reach out to you and set up a one-on-one meeting so that we can get you in our database and we can get a relationship with you. And again, most people that
Become
come, they're
friends,
interested
right?
in real estate investing, and that's how we build our list of investors.
Okay. All right. And then you do all of that, right, to become friends with people?
That's correct.
Okay. So,
And even
um,
if they're accredited, you still should really only send your money to somebody you know, like, and trust.
for sure. Yeah.
And so that builds that up.
So, would me and you be considered friends now?
Nope, not yet.
Really?
Because this was a public format. I haven't said what's your net worth, what do you do
Uh,
for a job, what are your goals? Are you married? Are you single? Do you own your? I mean, I need to understand a little bit more about your financial situation. So I ask first in talk usually with people is very superficial, and then the second one is okay. I need to dig a little deeper.
so you get on a
Because
call, maybe a
again, what I
coffee.
don't want to do is take grandma's last money, right, or your last
Yeah.
money, or again, as a good sponsor, I want to make sure that I present the right deal to my investors, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So then the next step would be like getting on a call and getting to know each other,
Yeah,
getting to know
like
about my
some
family,
deals
my
are different,
occupation.
right? So my last deal I did doesn't have much cash flow. All the money's made on sale, and so I
Yeah.
met with this young lady and she said, well, I need cash flow.
Cash flow.
And I said, well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, this isn't the deal for you.
For sure.
Um, she ended up actually investing because she was just like so pleased that but I said, you're sure? Because this is not going to produce you cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause different deals have different things that they do, right? Every
For sure.
real estate deal is slightly different. Most value add multifamily deals don't cash flow early. Takes a while to turn the asset around. And basically you rebuild the whole business and sell it. And that's where the biggest amount of money is made. So
Okay.
you want to make sure you understand because the last thing you want to do is take their money and they think they're getting cash flow.
But they're
Um,
not. Mm-hmm.
and they need the cash flow.
And she invested it either way. And I would like to argue that like one of the reasons why she invested, even though that investment wasn't going to give her what she originally wanted, which was cash flow, was because you were honest. And honesty builds trust, and trust, gets people to want to invest in you, right?
Yeah.
So Trevor, I end my podcast with a couple of questions, and we have a couple of minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask them to you. All right. So the first question is, what is a false belief that maybe you had, right? Or now that you're surrounded with a lot of real estate investors, that you see them have that holds them back from going into real estate investing?
Oh, so it's fear. It's a limiting belief of fear, right? I don't understand it. I don't do what it is. I'm not in control. Our whole society basically just tells you to go to work
Yeah, for
and
sure.
trade time for money and work hard, put it in your 401k, which by the way is one of the biggest ripoffs. It's one of the largest fee investments you'll ever make. That's why they control everything. You can't get your money out. It's hugely fee. They take a lot of fees.
Mm-hmm.
A
Okay.
lot of people getting rich on 401ks.
Yeah. All right. So what advice would you give to those people who, are stopped by fear and the main obstacle that they have from becoming either a passive real estate investor or an active real estate investor is that? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, so definitely the advice is to start educating yourself. Start stepping out of your comfort zone. I started educating myself. I started going to meetups. I started listening to podcasts. When I started learning, I mean, I was going to, I was just, like I said, I drive often, 3 hours. I flew to Seattle for a one-day event once. Just there was 1,000 people there, and I was going to connect with a lot of people because I wanted to learn. Just be an insatiable learner in the space. And then you just got to get past your fear. You will never get past your fear if you don't get some level of education and comfort.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. The next question, Trevor, is what is an empowering belief, right? Or an empowering mindset that you see most successful real estate investors have?
Yeah, so it's Basically, real estate is managing risk, right? You buy some, so you don't want to be risk averse, but real estate investing, you're basically buying risk, right? I'm going to buy an asset that's not performing, and I get the risk is that I can make it perform. So you've got to get comfortable with that, right?
Yeah.
And the difference is that it's real. You can touch it, right? Stocks in the stock market aren't real. You can't touch them.
Hmm.
And it's not near as volatile if you look at it. So
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So thank you. The next and last question, Trevor, is, as we've mentioned in this podcast, building relationships and networking is key to be successful in the real estate investing game, capital raising, deal finding, and all of that. So, what networking strategy or advice would you give anyone out there listening, any modern kings and queens out there who want to get good at networking and building relationships and getting people to know them, like them, and trust them?
yeah, so definitely read that book that I mentioned, The Go Giver.
Okay.
So you want to be a giver first. Don't come to somebody with how can you help me? Come to somebody, how can I help you? And start connecting people. And be a giver, be an enabler. Don't be a taker. And that's my biggest advice for people.
All right. Awesome. Well, Trevor, if anyone out there resonated with you, right, with your message, with who you are, and maybe they want to get to know more a little bit about you, meet you, talk, and or anything like that, where would be the best place for them to find you?
So the best place is LinkedIn. So you go
Okay.
by K Trevor Thompson, you'll find me on LinkedIn. Just mention you saw me on a podcast, and I always accept invites. Facebook's limited me, so I'm more careful there in Facebook, but on LinkedIn, there's no limit. And so, yeah, that's the best place. And I do
All
have a
right.
YouTube channel also with my name, K Trevor Thompson. We met on Instagram. I'm an old guy. I'm not very good on Instagram yet, but that's how we met. So I am there.
All right. All right, Trevor. Well, we'll put all of that you mentioned, right, wherever this appears, all of like your LinkedIn, your social media, your YouTube channel, and everything. It's been a pleasure, Trevor. I've really enjoyed this, and thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.
Awesome. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate you, and we're super grateful about being part of your journey of becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur and having it all. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will be impacted positively. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be across all areas. And if you thought this episode was really valuable, share it on your social media as a post or a story. We have a special gift for all of those who contribute to the Modern Kings and Queens movement. So for those of you who decided to share this episode and help us spread our message, send me a message letting me know on any social media platform at Alex Ramirez, the Modern King. I have a special surprise for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.